If he were to go to the same people that he talked with about 3i Atlas, they would completely dismiss that. Yet he believes that there are unidentified anomalous phenomena, and he keeps talking about it forever. But for 3i Atlas, no. That sentence is an anomaly.
Speaking of that, Ross Coulthart was kind of hard on you last weekend, and I'll just put the clip up because I thought it was kind of mean of him to say. So let's just get your reaction. It's only about less than 2 minutes.
This is the 3i Atlas object, which is, if some people are saying it correctly, a comet. If you're Professor Avi Loeb, you think it's potentially something anomalous. Let's deal also with the claims that have been made, mainly.
I mean, like, do you guys think Ross is throwing a bit of low-key shade there? The way he's like, if you're Avi Loeb, you think it's something anomalous. You know, it's like a little bit, you know, you can see what he's doing there. You can see what Ross is doing. I respect it. I respect it.
By Professor Avi Loeb, who is driving, God bless him, a lot of other astronomers to distraction with his persistent assertions that there is something anomalous about 3i Atlas. The ball is very much in Professor Avi Loeb's court right now to prove his case that there is something anomalous about 3i Atlas, and that it's just not it's not just another meteor or comet. I've consulted with astronomers. I've consulted with people who've contacted.
When you watch Ross long enough, you know when they're coming.
Me in great frustration because they don't understand why Professor Loeb is making such a huge song and dance on very, very limited evidence that there is something anomalous about 3i Atlas. And I've been very willing to give Professor Loeb a good go because I have huge respect for him. He's very, very well respected in the field. And I just have a hunch that just maybe he's had a tip, a private tip from somebody in NASA or some other space observatory telling him that there is something anomalous about 3i Atlas.
I think, like, can we say, like, and, you know, by the way, guys, for anyone who's watching, just because I'm Australian, I do not know Ross. I've never spoken to him. So, like, anything I say is not a reflection of Ross's actual opinion at all. Is purely just my speculation. Yes, we're from the same country. Don't know the guy. Seems like a nice guy. But what I will say is that I don't think Ross ever says things on camera unless he at least is like pretty firm of that belief. So when he says there that I think that I have a hunch, when he says that I have a hunch, he's basically saying that, like, that's his firm belief. You know, I think we can all probably agree on that. And that's just, and I only say that, like I said, I don't know him, but he comes from like a pretty rigorous journalist background. You know, he was a 60 Minutes guy for many years. So, you know, he wouldn't say things publicly unless I feel like he had some sort of weight to them.
But certainly the official position from a broad range of astronomers that I've engaged with is thus, that there is no anomalous behavior or movement detected with 3i Atlas. The most recent scientific assessments, including orbital solutions from the Minor Planet Center and NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, indicate that 3i Atlas follows a trajectory fully consistent with gravitational dynamics for an interstellar comet.
All right, so as you can see,
the Moss guy says 60 Minutes is fake and gay. You are absolutely correct, sir. 60 Minutes is, in fact, fake and gay as well. Yo, if you're enjoying this clip, make sure you subscribe below and head on over to the main channel if you want to watch the full replay of this video. You might even be able to catch one of the streams live one time and get involved in the chat as well. All the links you need will be down below.
Well, with all due respect, Ross Coulthart is not a scientist. And the statement he made in the last sentence is exactly the basis for a scientific paper that I submitted for publication last night. There is no non-gravitational acceleration, despite the fact that there is evaporation from the object. That means the object is very massive, anomalously massive, 1,000 times more massive than Borisov, the previous object, and 1,000,000 times more massive than Oumuamua. And this is just the lower limit. That's the minimum mass that is needed in order for it not to show any push back away from the sun. So if you see, an object that is, let's say, a dust particle, you see twice an object of the size of a dust particle, and then you see a boulder that is 1,000,000 times more massive appearing. Wouldn't that be curious? Wouldn't that be strange? Wouldn't that be anomalous? And just to remind whoever is viewing this, Ross himself keeps talking for years about unidentified anomalous phenomena.
He does.
So he makes a living out of talking, not doing science.
Dude, imagine making a living out of talking. Imagine making a living out of talking. That's crazy. I can't. That's disgraceful. I would never do that. That's crazy.
Just talking and speaking to other people who do science. And he himself is engaged with things that appear anomalous. I'm doing the science. I published scientific papers. I wrote 9 scientific papers over the past 2 months on 3i Atlas. I'm not a journalist asking for the advice of other people to tell me what this object is. I'm actually doing the research to tell me what the object is. So for a journalist to go around and solicit consensus view about an object and then talk for years about anomalous phenomena that the same people that he's talking with right now would completely dismiss as irrelevant. The same UAP that he keeps talking about, UFOs, UAP, and he talks about it for many, many, many broadcasts. If he were to go to the same people that he talked with about 3i Atlas, they would completely dismiss that as irrelevant. Yet, he believes that there are unidentified anomalous phenomena and he keeps talking about it forever. But for 3i Atlas, no. He will go to the same people that dismiss UAP and ask for their advice and then use sort of an average over their opinions to claim that when Avi Loeb does scientific work on this object, we should not accept it. Why? Because a group of other people said to him that we should not consider any anomalies. And I say, well, exactly this sentence that he said at the end, where the object doesn't show any non-gravitational acceleration, that sentence is an anomaly. Why? Because in order for the object not to be affected by its evaporation, it needs to be extremely massive, anomalously massive, 1,000,000 times more massive than Oumuamua. And we haven't seen 1,000,000 Oumuamuas.
What I think is going on, this is just my opinion. Like Ross, I think Ross makes good points, but I think Avi makes some good points here. And I think what is actually going on is that Ross is sort of saying that I don't think Ross is denying the fact that 3i Atlas is anomalous. Like having a giant large thing flying through space is anomalous. I don't think he's denying that. I think Ross is trying to highlight the fact that Avi Loeb is like is taking this large anomalous object, trying to insert it into the UAP community, which has a lot of reach, a lot of eyes on it, a lot of which could equal a lot of support, and then using that leverage to gain funding to study this thing. Because giant rock appearing in our solar system is a long stretch from like non-human intelligence UFOs, in my opinion. It literally could just be a giant, unique, rare object that is flying through space. So I kind of agree with that. Like Avi is right. This thing is anomalous and it probably should be studied further, 100%. But I just think it feels as though Avi is sort of using the UAP community to like insert his own ideas and beliefs and interests to get the funding and sort of eyes on it that he wants. Because yeah, at the end of the day, UAP is the topic here is about, consciousness, non-human intelligence, psionics and things like that. It's not really about things that are in space that even by his own admission, he doesn't we don't even know the size of it. He just knows it's really big. So if we don't even know enough detail that we don't even know how big it actually is, to be running it through the UAP community feels like a bit of a stretch at this point. It is anomalous. It is very big, but I still think space and astronomy can be separate from the UAP community. I don't know. This is just kind of my take. We're going to keep listening to these guys. But that's kind of how I'm feeling about this so far. But, let me be clear. I think both guys make good points. And I think Avi, I do want to see Avi continue to study this thing. I just don't like it getting mixed in with the UAP community too much because, and Avi Loeb has done this. There comes this kind of fear mongering with it. I mean, the UAP community is already rife. Everyone thinks the world's going to end in 2 years. Or they think, some kind of religious apocalypse is going to happen. Okay, we've got enough of that. We don't need an impending comet alien invasion as well. So, let's just keep them separate until we have undeniable proof that it is something that could be part of the UAP community. I'll stop rambling now.
Consensus of those people that he spoke with is that 3i Atlas is just an unusually large object that is on an unusually fine-tuned trajectory with the planets by chance. So it's big by chance. It's aligned with the planets by chance. It has nickel without iron by chance. It had a plume of scattered light ahead of it towards the sun instead of behind it, away from the sun, the way comets show, by a process that we don't understand but we don't care about. And it will come close to Mars and Jupiter by chance. So the timing was particularly, fine-tuned, but by chance. And, all of these coincidences, each of them has a low probability. Some of them we've never seen before for comets in the solar system.
I mean, in my opinion, he lays down the law.
So again, like I said, I agree with Avi that there is lots about this thing that is anomalous, but I feel like Avi is using the high amount, and when I say using, that sounds negative, right? It sounds like he's being nefarious intentionally, and maybe he is. I don't know. We can only speculate. I don't think so. He doesn't really come across like a nefarious guy, but maybe opportunistic, right? Maybe it feels like the UAP conversation being so hot right now and so big and everyone's interested in it is also the perfect opportunity to kind of use that fan base to gain support to do what he wants to do. But it is interesting. It is interesting I do agree at this point, but I just don't think the two worlds need to collide just yet. That's just my personal opinion. But what I will say, to now come to the other side and defend Avi a little bit more, I do think Ross could be it's strange, given that he reports on UAP for a living. As Avi said, he talks for a living. It is kind of strange that he at least wouldn't be open to it. I mean, okay, I talk for a living too. 3i Atlas for months has been an easy story. I could be talking about this every other day if I wanted to, because lots of people, and there are channels that have done so many videos on 3i Atlas with each menial little update, and it gets views, but it just doesn't really interest me that much. So that's why I don't really talk about it. But Ross does talk for a living. It gets easy views. It's strange that he is sort of holding a stance against it. I think anything that gets talked about this much, with this much hype, with Avi Loeb, who has made comments like, this thing is bigger than the thing that wiped out the dinosaurs. My friend who's on the stock market is saying the stock market might crash at the end of November or whatever. He is saying these kind of weird little fear-mongering things as well. I have no dog in this fight, really. Like, I don't really care, but I'm just, I'll try to look at both sides. And there is sort of odd behavior on both parts, in my opinion. Is it the Anunnaki tribe returning? Yes, Thomas, it is. I just actually got off the phone to them before this stream began. It was Enlil, actually. We had a phone call, and they told me that October 29th, the stock market will crash. The Earth will be wiped out, just like the dinosaurs, just like Avi Loeb predicted, and it will be time for the next Yuga cycle. And that's the big thing that's keeping me where I'm at with this, is that so many things in our lifetime, not just, Amuamuas, lots of things that are meant to have been big apocalyptic events have come and gone, and nothing's happened. So, just using the law of averages, I'm still open to it, but I'm on the side of like, it's probably nothing until we have a real reason to start buying all of the toilet paper out of Woolworths. Do you know what I mean? And that's why I don't talk about this too much, because for me, there's no real evidence of it being anything scary, right? And so, yes, it's interesting. Yes, it's anomalous. Don't shoot me. But I just don't like the sort of fiery narrative around it. It's just not my vibe at all. But it does get clicks. It definitely does. Liz says, Josh, think you were more Team Ross than Team Avi. No, like I said, I don't really have a dog in this fight. I tried to sort of argue for both sides, and I can see both of their perspectives. I think it's just two different people looking at the same thing from two very different perspectives. And, all they would probably need to do is just communicate, have a little conversation with each other like normal human beings. There is this crazy thing that humans can do, right? When they don't agree with each other, I know it's crazy, but like, you don't actually have to go and shoot that person. I know. And isn't it wild? You, if someone says something you don't like, you don't actually have to scream, post on the internet about them and stalk them and dox them. I know. Isn't it crazy? You can do this thing called have a conversation and communicate, and it actually is really effective. It is really, really effective. I would recommend it to everybody.